What's up, guys? How's it going? We're back. My name is Cory Talaska and we're here for another vlog. We are really late in the season. It is now March and we are starting our build technically. Basically my entire other time was filled up with work trying to get ready for this point right now, so I'm going to try to speed through the update as fast as possible because I don't want to talk for too long and a lot's changed even since last video. We brought the S52 to the engine builder. Engine builder took it apart. All the pistons were done. I mean, the engine was in good shape, but valve, lifter, pistons, a few other things. So what we thought, and it was related to tune. So the initial thought was, okay, we'll go standalone on the S52, we'll get the S52 fixed, put it back in the car, we know it'll work. And then we're like, wait a minute, if we're gonna spend all this money getting the S52 back in the road and going E85 to fix heat issues, why don't we put that money into a different engine? And if you notice, the 2J that was sitting somewhere around here is not here anymore because we brought that to the engine builders literally 2 days later after we found out what was the damage on the S52, and then ordered all the parts to hopefully build the engine to a 1500 horsepower 2J, but we're only gonna push starting like 650, 700 around there because we don't need it. We don't need it. We don't need any more than that. We might even go a little bit less. Who knows? We'll see how everything plays out. So that's the plan. We're putting the 2J in the car. We're putting AM Infinity, putting the AM, the CDL5, the CD5L digital dash in. So I'm taking out everything to do with the cluster and BMW in this car. Completely going away. Another thing, 2J has heating issues. So we're going to be taking out the rear glass, replacing it with Lexan from Condor Speed Shop, cutting out the package tray within FD rules to do a rear mount radiator. So we'll build a shroud that comes up here. And then we're not going to do a fuel cell this year, but we are going to pull the tank and clean it because we are going to run E90, E85, we're not sure yet. We'll cut out some of the floor. We're not going to like totally back half the car yet, but we'll cut it out. We're putting big duck club fenders, replacing the Felonium form, so we'll be big duck club all the way around. I did get a lower piece for the rear bumper to basically match the whole style of the side skirt and everything. We'll be replacing the lip on the front bumper. And we'll be respraying the bay to a different color. It won't be the same gray as the rest of the car. I was really thinking like a gloss black with like a silver flake in it to kind of make the 2J look a little bit nicer. Same livery is staying. Some of the graphics over the top, like the sponsor logos, might get replaced because there's a few additional things that have come up. You know, we are now a dealer for Ditchworks fuel. You know, they make lines, fittings, literally almost anything you can need to build something like that. So if you guys need anything, let me know. But they're going to be going on the car because, you know, we're repping them. We're putting their products, you know, all their fittings, all their lines. They're fueling our 2J, so that's super exciting. And that's about as fast as I can update everything at this point. Vlad at National Speed is going to tune the 2J. Today, actually, we're going to go to National Speed and pick up a 2J that they have on the floor so I can do mock fitting because my goal is to make our own 4-inch downpipe, 4-inch oval exhaust, do our own charge piping and everything. I want to keep that fabrication in-house to better our capabilities and because it's really expensive to have someone else do it. So that's the plan. Now where we're gonna start is probably the engine bay under the dash. I really just kind of want to get this all cleaned up. I want to pull my overflow tanks out. You know, I'll pull the AM little boost controller deal out. The booster's gonna come out. We're gonna replace this with a Chase Bays brake booster eliminator. I really want to get that better pedal feel. And then we're gonna go under the dash and the inside. And we'll pull the cluster, we'll pull everything, so all we have left is the chassis harness running the lights, you know, and we have our ignition, so that's going to stay the same. We're operating our fans, which are now going to be in the back, and all that fancy stuff, but then all the other wiring will be gone, so we'll be able to make a panel for here, put the dash in, find a good spot to mount the AM, and everything will hopefully be pretty clean, a lot cleaner than now. So we're getting rid of all the gauges. All the gauges are going away, and it's just going to be the dash. So we started on the car, got the passenger seat out, got the trunk lid off, wing, popped it up somewhere so we didn't stab ourselves. So we definitely have a lot more room to work, especially underneath the dash, all that stuff. And then went to National Speed. Well, first went to Tractor Supply, got a new air compressor. Ours blew up, and we can't do tires or literally anything without it, so we got a new one of those. And then we picked up this 2J from Keith at National Speed. We're gonna do some disassembly on the stock twins and the intake and stuff. Pop that out so we can use our stuff to mock up for the engine. But super huge shout out to him for letting us borrow this for a couple weeks to toss into here and run everything. So when we get our engine, then we're not starting from scratch. We got something to work off of to save a bunch of time. So yeah, we're gonna unload this stuff. Now that we got the 2J off the truck, this is what we're gonna use for mock-up purposes. So my pops is gonna strip it all down, take the twins and the manifold off, and then so we can use it for our mock-up purposes. We'll probably have to take the pan off because it's got a front sump on there right now. And then this engine came bad from the importer, and the warranty ran out before someone put it in. So it's just kind of a dead engine right now until Keith rebuilds it for his own purpose. So we're going to use it for our mock-up purposes now while I dive into this. Might start labeling the harness that's in here now, and then also start taking out the exhaust, the drive shaft, the stuff underneath. So if you guys are curious what an imported 2J that you don't want to run stock on is if you pull your valve, one of your valve covers, and it's that sludgy. None of this is exciting. So I'm going to start in the trunk by prepping this whole area for when we get the radiator. We can test fit everything, and then we can know what to cut across the back. After my dad and I kind of looking at everything, we probably will cut the whole trunk out and do new frame rails like from here, so we can mount still keep the rear bumper and the rear bash bar and everything. So I'm just going to take like our battery holder out, which is now going to go underneath here on the other side of the crossbar. You know, take the chassis harness out, pull the taillights out, so when we start cutting back here, it's not going to affect anything. So now that the whole rear bumper, bash bar, battery, all the wiring that was back here is all out, we're closer to doing things. Next thing I'm going to do is pull the rear end out. I already pulled the exhaust off. So first thing I'm going to do is pop the brake lines and cap them so they don't leak everywhere, and then we'll pull this out, and then we'll probably move on to the fuel tank. Bam, got the rear end out. Pretty painless, nothing too crazy. I just prefer to take it off complete. Like, I usually don't leave the drive shaft on, so I'll have to get that off. But now pretty much everything's open other than the fuel tank. So now I'm probably gonna cut, when I do cut this trunk out, first I'm gonna draw this entire rear end in SketchUp, a 3D program on my computer, and then what we'll probably do is cut with a plasma. You know, we'll use a grinder for some stuff, but a plasma will just cut through a lot of this single layer stuff pretty easy. And then, so the next thing we got to do is pull the pump out and drain the tank. So it's pretty, then I can just put a jack underneath the fuel tank, the stock tank, drop it down. I'm gonna be cleaning out the tank and not running a fuel cell. It's a plastic tank, so you can still run E in it. And we'll just drain it out, clean it out, and we're gonna run new lines. We're gonna run, I don't know exactly what we're gonna run to the new Deechworks stuff, but we'll figure that out a little bit down. I think my pops knows, but that's the best way to do it. I mean, I'm trying to get all this done in 2 months, so anything to save time and not putting a fuel cell in and dealing with all that. As soon as you put a fuel cell in the car, there's like a whole nother rule book, you know? I mean, I'm exaggerating, but there's a lot of stuff. Like Chelsea DeNofa always ran the stock tank in the E36, so that's what we're gonna roll with right now. I'll probably want a little bit more rear weight, but the rear mount radiator is gonna help that. And then also moving the battery. I'm gonna put the battery on whatever side that I need a little bit more weight when I put the car on the scales. So that's kind of what we're gonna look at. So the next thing is to pull the fuel stuff out so we can drop the tank, and then kind of map out where we're gonna put the radiator and what angle we're gonna do it at. You know, starting behind that bar, going kind of put the bottom line right there where my finger is, and then kind of taper back. So then we know I gotta pull this glass, which it'll probably break when I do it. But then we can get a good idea of what we gotta do. Alright, so I've never pulled the fuel tank before, but I siphoned most of the fuel out. There's like a 1/2 inch in the bottom. I unhooked both the hoses, took the whole pump out. The lines are disconnected up there, and now it's just the straps, I believe. So I got this side out already, supported by the jack. I'm going to put another jack on the other side supporting that, pull those straps down and lower the whole thing to the ground, and see, I guess while I'm doing that, see if anything else is connected. Alright, so I was close to being done. All the lines, when you lower it down a little bit, there'll be all this stuff in these clips that you can pop out. It's not a huge deal. These are the lines that go down and then 90. You can pop these out because you disconnected these. Oh jeez. You disconnected these when you unhooked this line and the line in the top of here. So the struggle bus was this vent and these two vents. Now they have the BMW clips on them instead of hose clamps. So the easiest way to get those off. So here's one of those clips. Now the easiest way you'd think, I mean the first one is basically like, you think you just want to cut the top off. Well, I mean you could do that, but there's an easier way. This little strap just folds over and clips to this. So if you can find where this strap ends, you can take a side cutters and just kind of peel it up and just the whole thing pops off. It's super easy. So you can do that without wrecking the hoses at all that go on here, because those vent hoses, they run through the chassis and come out right, it's kind of dark, but they come out right here, right out of the frame rail. So it's not really something you want to cut and try to do later. So you kind of want to save the ends for all these. But if you can do that, then just pull them off. I couldn't believe it. None of the ends broke. I'm kind of surprised, but it took like a lot of force to pull them off. So now I have the gas tank. There's still fuel in here, so I popped it on some tires, and I'm gonna finish draining the rest of it out, and I'll cover up the holes. I'm gonna wash out, or I'm basically gonna soak this entire thing in like alcohol or something. I gotta clean it out as much as possible since I am using the stock fuel tank for E35, and we're tuning the car with flex fuel, but we still want to be as safe as possible. So we're going to clean this all out, and we're going to do all -6 fuel line from the back all the way to the front. We'll have some sort of disconnect at the similar stock location that this is at, and then we're taking out the stock fuel filter and stock fuel pressure regulator, and we're putting in a 10 micron E85 compatible Deechworks filter, and then also a Deechworks fuel pressure regulator. So that'll be pretty sick, which I think there's a plug for. Then the computer will connect to that, and then my Pops has got the 2J all stripped down so I can test fit this bad boy inside. So I'm gonna finish draining this, and then we're just about done for today. So it looked like this is finished draining, but let me just quick run down why like this is so cool. Having a mock-up 2J is super sick because now I'm gonna be able to make my downpipe. I'm gonna be able to run all my fuel lines. I'm gonna be able to run all my cooling lines, all my water lines to the rear mount and up, which is gonna be super helpful. It gives me a good chance to like make sure I have a place to put all my sensors and everything when the new engine comes in. So it's gonna save me literally like 2 to 3 weeks of work being able to just skip. So when I get my 2J back, literally pop it in, you know, put all my accessories on it, sensors, everything, pop it in, put my downpipe on, put my water lines on, fuel lines. It skips a lot of steps versus waiting for my engine to get back. If I had to wait to get back, I mean, we're still gonna be thrashing for the first East 10 event, but it's gonna help a lot, so that's super cool. I mean, I didn't get like, I guess I took a lot of stuff apart today, but we got the 2J ready, fuel tank's out. Now we can clean this up. I got the whole rear end out. I got the passenger seat out, which actually sucked. I got this whole inside out. Basically, now I'm clear to start cutting. You know, I need to make sure that everything's good underneath, but we kind of were looking at radiators and everything. And what we're gonna do, we're actually gonna leave the stock frame rails as per like counter per what I said earlier, we're going to end up cutting right on the inside of the frame rails, on the inside of the back, and we're going to cut this whole floor out kind of like right in line with this frame rail, and then we're going to follow this around, cut it here. This is double wall, so we're going to cut like down below that and then kind of weld that seam back together. Put the radiator at an angle back here. We'll have our hole with our shroud that comes down. We'll have, you know, 2 huge Mishimoto Raceline fans. They're like super thick. We'll remove the battery from down here to right in front of this bar, so it'll be access from the inside, except for that panel is going to be closed off. And it's gonna be pretty nice. It's gonna add weight in the rear, which I needed, and the cooling is gonna be exponentially more. We're gonna run an inline pump. We bought one off Summit. I can't remember exactly what it was. It's 50 gallons per hour, something like that. Rad Dan suggested one that was it was like 55 gallons, and we found one just a little bit dropped down. It was like half the price. The one that he recommended was gnarly, like 500 bucks, which I'm sure it's really good, and I hope I don't regret not getting it, but that's what we're rolling with. So a lot of progress has been made in a really short amount of time, and I'm gonna continue on it tomorrow and the following weeks. A bunch of parts, like all my AEM stuff, comes in on Monday, so I'm gonna kind of see where all that wiring lines up with the dash. Maybe we'll test fit the dash. I gotta make a panel. Might CNC that out at work, so I don't know. But thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna try to make a lot more content consistently now that I'm kind of really pushing on the car. The season's starting back up. I kind of got over my just work as much as I can all winter kind of thing over. So right on. Like, comment, subscribe, hit me on my Instagram. I'm way more active on there all the time if I'm down on YouTube at all. But thanks for stopping by. Peace.